$389 million. That is how much dirty cryptocurrency one single service washed clean. Its name was AudiA6, not the car. A crypto laundering machine run from the Russian-speaking underground. And in June 2026, Europol and the US Justice Department tore it apart. But here's the part most people miss. AudiA6 did not break the bank's security. It used their own compliance systems against them. Over 6,000 fully verified accounts. Every one had passed the identity checks meant to keep criminals out. And every one was fake. If you work at an exchange, a bank, or anywhere money moves, this matters to you, because the accounts AudiA6 abused would pass every check your systems run today. 10,000 Bitcoin, 6,000 fake accounts. 11 countries chasing one network. And it nearly got away with all of it. So let me ask you directly, if you work in compliance or fraud, have you ever watched a clean-looking account move money in a way that just felt wrong? Hold that thought. That feeling is the whole story. Here is how AudiA6 sold itself. The pitch was cold and simple. Take your dirty crypto, get my clean crypto back. Their cut was 3 to 10% on nearly $400 million. Even the low end is tens of millions in pure profit. Crime here pays like a tech startup. And who paid for it? Ransomware gangs. Darknet markets, the people who lock up hospitals and demand Bitcoin. AudiA6 was their cash-out window. Europol later tied AudiA6 to more than 15 separate international investigations. One service, sitting at the center of attack after attack. And speed was the selling point. Dirty money in, clean money back to the client. In about 1 hour. 1 hour to erase a crime. Most laundering services hide behind fancy math, scrambling coins with algorithms. AudiA6 was different. And that difference is exactly why it worked. Their real trick was people. Fake people, an army of accounts at real regulated exchanges opened with stolen and purchased identities. On paper, everyone looked legitimate. Let me walk you through it, step by step. First, the criminal sends dirty coins from a private wallet into a wallet AudiA6 controls. Quiet, no bank involved yet. Then the layering. They chop that money into hundreds of pieces and push them through the fake accounts. Each hop makes the trail fainter. Finally, the pieces reassemble as clean balances and land wherever the client asked. Dirty money in, clean money out, the crime erased from view. The accounts that carried it belonged to money mules, sometimes knowing accomplices recruited on forums, sometimes victims whose identities were simply stolen. Investigators found more than 6,000 of these mule accounts. 6,000. And every single one had cleared the checks designed to stop exactly this. Think about what that means. The exchange checked the ID at sign-up and ticked the box. It never noticed the account was a puppet. That gap between checking an identity once and actually watching what it does is where AudiA6 lived for 4 years. So who built this? 2 men, according to US prosecutors, a 37-year-old Ukrainian and a 25-year-old Russian, allegedly living comfortably in the seaside city of Batumi, Georgia. And laundering was only half of it. The same crew is believed to have run a dark web forum called Dark2Web, where hackers advertise their services. A forum like this is a watering hole. Hackers gather, swap tools, brag about scores, and quietly recommend who to use when it is time to cash out. Trust matters even among thieves. These forums run on reputation and escrow, just like a real marketplace. A recommendation there carried the weight of a 5-star review. Analysts found Dark2Web wired into exploit in one of the oldest Russian-language hacking forums online. AudiA6 was plugged into the beating heart of the cybercrime economy. Put it together, and you get a one-stop shop for crime. Find your tools on the forum, run the attack, launder the payout through AudiA6, all inside the same trusted circle. Now here is where it gets interesting, because crypto is not as invisible as criminals think. Every transaction leaves a permanent mark on the blockchain. That mark never disappears. Mix the coins all you want. The ledger remembers. And investigators followed those marks all the way back to AudiA6. When they added it up, AudiA6 wallets had received about 10,333 Bitcoin since 2021, roughly $389 million, and at least 393 Bitcoin, worth over $19 million, traced directly back to ransomware crews and darknet markets. That is the smoking gun. Want a name you might know? One analytics firm traced about $7 million stolen in the LastPass breach straight through to AudiA6. If you ever use that password manager, the data stolen from you may have flowed through this very pipeline. That is how close these networks sit to ordinary people. And these are not abstract numbers. Australian police linked AudiA6 to laundering part of a ransom paid by a real business in 2024. A company held hostage, watching its money vanish. Investigators watching this, I want to hear from you. When funds from a known breach hit a service like this, what is the first red flag you chase? Drop it in the comments. AudiA6 did not operate alone. On-chain analysis showed it rubbing shoulders with the worst names in crypto crime, sanctioned Russian exchanges like Garantex and Bitslato. And this fits a pattern. In 2024, U.S. authorities sanctioned a Russian exchange called Cryptex, tied to over $7.5 billion in suspicious volume. But notice how authorities fought back differently. Cryptex was hit mostly with sanctions, freezing its money. AudiA6 got arrests, raids and criminal charges. Two tools, same target. Here is the deeper problem. The exchanges followed the rules at sign-up, but the rules barely covered what an account did next. AudiA6 lived entirely inside that blind spot. You might think, I am no criminal. Why should I care? Because every laundered dollar makes ransomware more profitable. And ransomware is what shuts down the hospital you depend on. To see why this keeps happening, you need the rulebook. The global standard comes from a body called the FATF, the Financial Action Task Force. Their core rule is simple: know your customer. But AudiA6 proved a hard truth. Knowing who opened an account tells you nothing about who is really pulling the strings. Europe is tightening the screws, a new single rulebook, a powerful new watchdog agency, and crypto-specific licensing are rolling out, aimed at the exact gap AudiA6 exploited. But rules only matter if they cover the whole field. When one country supervises tightly and its neighbor does not, criminals just move to the weak spot. So how do you catch something this slippery? It started with one thread. In September 2025, Polish police arrested a Ukrainian man and seized his devices. From that one phone, they mapped the network. Names led to accounts. Accounts led to wallets. Wallets led to the two men in Georgia. Patient, unglamorous detective work. By the time they moved, this was not one country alone. 11 nations, including the US, Japan, and Australia, plus Europol and Eurojust, coordinated a single strike. And governments did not do it alone. Private blockchain analytics firms did much of the tracing and handed police the map. Public agencies and private experts hunting together. I have put the full timeline, the source documents, and the on-chain evidence over on davincidiligence.com, linked below. And if you would rather listen on your commute, the full episode is on our Spotify podcast, Da Vinci Diligence. On June 10, 2026, the hammer came down. The two alleged administrators were arrested in Batumi, while the rest of the operation unfolded at the same moment. The numbers are staggering. More than 30 servers seized, 25 domains taken offline, over 80 vehicles confiscated, properties searched. Investigators also froze around 692,000 euros in crypto, seized tens of thousands more, and blocked the Telegram accounts the network used. The lights went out at once. The two men now face U.S. charges, conspiracy to launder money and a charge called sting money laundering. If convicted, each could face up to 20 years in prison. That sting charge is clever. Undercover agents posed as criminals, handed over money they called dirty, and watched AudiA6 agree to wash it, direct proof they knew exactly what they were doing. And the case is layered. The unforgeable blockchain on one side, the seized servers and chat logs on the other. When those two stories line up, a defense gets very hard to build. But the two administrators may be just the start. Those servers hold records of every client and mule recruiter. Investigators now have a roadmap to the people on the other end. Now, let me put on my professional hat, because there are hard lessons here. AudiA6 did not beat sophisticated technology, it beat lazy monitoring, and that is fixable. Red flag 1. Brand new accounts that suddenly move large sums and cash out fast. A real customer builds up slowly. A mule account is a firework. Red flag 2. Many accounts taking money from the same cluster of wallets, then funneling it to just a few destinations. That fan-in, fan-out shape is the fingerprint of laundering. Red flag 3. Different accounts quietly sharing the same devices, addresses, or email patterns. On paper, they are strangers. Under the hood, one hand controls them all. Red flag 4. A mismatch between who someone claims to be and what their account does. A student moving millions. When the story and the behavior disagree, the story is the lie. Europol even published the email domains AudiA6 used to mass register accounts. Screening your old records for those domains is a free, fast way to find exposure you did not know you had. And here's the big one. AudiA6 thrived because fraud, anti-money laundering, and cyber teams often do not talk. The criminals counted on those silos, break them down, and the pattern lights up. If you're a practitioner, here is your plan. Step 1. Run a look back. When a service gets named, go back through your records and ask, did we ever touch it? Step 2. If you find a hit, file it. A suspicious activity report is a puzzle piece. Yours, joined to thousands of others, is often how the next network gets mapped. Step 3. Know when to walk away. The fees from one account are never worth becoming the laundering rail for the next AudiA6. Saying no is a control too. So is this the end? Not even close. The moment exchanges harden, criminals adapt. The next wave is already here. Deep-faked IDs generated by AI, opening accounts faster than any human can check. Watch where the money goes next. Towards smaller, lightly regulated platforms, privacy coins, and bridges that hop money between blockchains. The pipeline does not vanish. It reroutes. This is a cat-and-mouse game that never fully ends. But every takedown raises the cost, fragments the trust criminals rely on, and buys the good guys time. Progress is real. So what actually stops the next AudiA6? Not one magic tool. Connection. The winners fuse their fraud signals, laundering checks, and cyber intelligence into a single picture. Step back and the lesson is bigger than one service. Ransomware groups route most of their cash outs through a handful of pipelines. Knock one out, and you disrupt an entire economy of crime. And never forget what sits at the other end. Locked up hospitals, frozen businesses, stolen savings. Following the money is how we protect the people behind it. So here's what we learned. A professional service moved nearly $400 million by weaponizing the very compliant systems meant to stop it. It took 11 countries to bring it down. The real takeaway is this. Checking an identity once at the door is no longer enough. The future of stopping financial crime is watching behavior, not just paperwork. If this opened your eyes to something, subscribe, because I break down a new financial crime case like this every week. Share it with someone in compliance who needs to see it.